AudioJungle.
Everything was ready. The moment God had been waiting for was here at last. God was coming to help his people, just as he promised in the beginning. But how would he come? What would he be like? What would he do? Mountains would have bowed down, seas would have roared, trees would have clapped their hands, but the earth held its breath. As silent as snow falling, he came in, and when no one was looking, in the darkness he came. There was a young girl who was engaged to a man named Joseph. One morning this girl was minding her own business when suddenly a great warrior of light appeared, right there in her bedroom. He was Gabriel, and he was an angel, a special messenger from heaven.
Do not be afraid. You are to have a baby and to name him Jesus.
The God who flung planets into space and kept them whirling around and around, the God who made the universe with just a word, the one who could do anything at all, was making himself small and coming down as a baby. Sure enough, it was just as the angel had said. 9 months later, Mary was almost ready to have her baby. In those days, Mary arose and went with haste into the hill country to a town in Judea. And she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth.
Hi.
The baby leapt inside my womb.
As soon as the sound of Elizabeth's greeting reached her ears, the baby leapt for joy. Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord would fulfill his promise. Now Mary and Joseph had to take a trip to Bethlehem, the town King David was from. But when they reached the little town, they found every room was full, every bed was taken. Go away, the innkeeper told them.
No room for you in the inn. You'll have to go to the stable and spend the night.
Where would they stay? Soon Mary's baby would come. They couldn't find anywhere except an old, tumble-down stable, so they stayed where the cows and the donkeys and the horses stayed. And there, in the stable, amongst the chickens and the donkeys and the cows, in the quiet of the night, God gave the world his wonderful gift. The baby that would change the world was born, his baby son. Mary and Joseph wrapped him up to keep him warm. They made a soft bed of straw and used the animal's feeding trough as his cradle. And they gazed in wonder at God's great gift, wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. Mary and Joseph named him Jesus, Emmanuel, which means God has come to live with us, because, of course, he had. That same night, in amongst the other stars, suddenly a bright new star appeared. Of all the stars in the dark vaulted heavens, this one shone clearer. It blazed in the night and made the other stars look pale beside it. God put it there when his baby son was born, to be like a spotlight shining on him, lighting up the darkness, showing people the way to him. You see, God was like a new daddy. He couldn't keep the good news to himself. He'd been waiting all these long years for this moment, and now he wanted to tell everyone. So he pulled out all the stops. He'd sent an angel to tell Mary the good news. He'd put a special star in the sky to show where the boy was. And now he was going to send a big choir of angels to sing his happy song to the world. Where would you send your splendid choir? To a big concert hall maybe, or a palace perhaps? God sent his to a little hillside outside a little town in the middle of the night. He sent all those angels to sing for a raggedy old bunch of shepherds, watching their sheep outside Bethlehem. That night, some shepherds were out in the open fields warming themselves by a campfire, when suddenly the sheep darted. They were frightened by something. The olive trees rustled. What was that? A wing beat? They turned around. Standing in front of them was a huge warrior of light blazing in the darkness.
Don't be afraid. We bring you good news of great joy.
Greetings for all the people.
Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you.
He is Christ the Lord, and this will be a sign unto you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger.
Behind the angel they saw a strange glowing cloud, except it wasn't a cloud, it was angels, troops and troops of angels armed with light, and they were singing a beautiful song.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
As quickly as they appeared, the angels left. The shepherds stamped out their fire, left the sheep, raced down the grassy hill, through the gates of Bethlehem, down the narrow cobble streets, through a courtyard, down some steps, past an inn, round a corner, through a hedge, until at last they reached a tumble-down stable. They caught their breath, then quietly they tiptoed inside. They knelt on the dirt floor. They had heard about this promised child, and now he was here, heaven's son, the maker of the stars.
What are those yellow things?
A baby sleeping in his mother's arms.
What are those?
That's the straw.
That part bill?
This baby would be like that bright star shining in the sky that night.
When she took him out, the wrong.
This baby would be like that bright star shining in the sky that night, a light to light up the whole world, chasing away darkness, helping people to see. And the darker the night got, the brighter the star would shine.
Away in a manger, no crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay, the little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay.
Far away in the east, 3 clever men saw the very same star, the star that God had put in the sky when Jesus was born. They knew it was a sign. A baby king had been born. They had been waiting for this star. They knew it would come. At dawn, they packed up their camels and wrapped gifts for the baby. They brought their most precious treasures of all, frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Special, sparkly, lovely smelling, gleaming things.
Where's myrrh?
Just right for a king. The 3 wise men set off. They rode their camels across endless deserts, up steep, steep mountains, down into deep, deep valleys, through raging rivers, over grassy plains, night and day and night, for hours that turned into days, that turned into weeks, that turned into months and months, until at last they reached Jerusalem.
We 3 kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we travel so far. Field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, find us to thy perfect light.
Jerusalem was by far the most important city for miles, and as anyone can tell you, that's where a palace would be, and kings are born in palaces. So that's where they went, but they were in for a surprise. They went to see King Herod. Surely he'd know where this baby was.
Where is the baby? We were hoping you would know.
Audio Jungle.
Tell me where he is when you find him, so I may come and worship him too.
King Herod didn't know where the baby was. In fact, he didn't like the sound of a new king. It made him angry. He didn't want anyone to be king except him.
There's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 cows.
Suddenly, the star they had seen in the east started moving again, showing them the way. So the 3 wise men followed the star out of the big city, along the road, into the little town of Bethlehem. They followed the star through the streets of Bethlehem, out of the nice parts of town, until it stopped right over a little house. But wait, it wasn't a palace, and there weren't any guards or servants or flags.
Audio Jungle.
Did they get it wrong, or was this what God meant? Sure enough, in that little house, there sitting on his mother's knee, they found him, the baby king. The 3 men knelt before the little king. They took off their rich royal turbans and gleaming golden crowns. They bowed down to the ground and gave him their sparkling treasures.
Daddy, where are the shepherds?
Audio
The
Jungle.
journey that had been begun so many centuries before had led 3 wise men here, to a little town, to a little house, to a little child.
Audio Jungle.
To the king God had promised David all those years before, but this child was a new kind of king. Though he was the Prince of Heaven, he had become poor. Though he was the mighty God, he had become a helpless baby. This king hadn't come to be the boss. He had come to be a servant.